Okay, here we go. Let's talk about Nearpod. I'm going to first kind of go through my slide deck and introduce it a little bit, and then you'll get to experience it. So it is going to be a hands-on, feel what it is like to be a student for the bulk of this. Okay, so once again, I'm kind of reminding folks as we introduce new tools, they kind of feel like a kid in a toy shop. You're like, ooh, what can I play with first? And the reminder as we're experiencing these new tools that we think start with not the tool, but start with your learning purpose. What are you trying to achieve? What not necessarily what practice from the classroom are you trying to achieve, but what goal that you had accomplished physically in the classroom are you trying to replicate? What feeling, what sense, and then figure out how the tool can help you achieve that is kind of what I'm hoping that we aim for as we are introduced to these many new tools. And of course, always be brave. The more you experiment, the better you'll get, and the more you'll learn about tools. Just try different buttons and tools. I'm going to show a little video, it's a quick intro to Nearpod.
Introducing Nearpod. With Nearpod, you can make every lesson interactive. Launch lessons your students can't wait to join with collaborative, engaging activities like virtual reality, simulations, and gamified quizzes. As the teacher, you'll always know where your students are with Nearpod's formative assessments, including polls, open-ended questions, draw-its, and more. Get started with what you already have. Upload any of your favorite resources, PowerPoints, Google Slides, and videos, including directly from YouTube. Then, add in media and formative assessment in a few clicks. And now you can add questions directly into videos to make them interactive. Get started even faster with our library of pre-made lessons and videos, built in partnership with some of your favorite brands. You can use them as is or customize to meet the unique needs of your students. Once you're ready to launch your lesson, choose from 3 teaching modes. In live participation mode, you control the pace and students participate on their devices, either in person or remotely with web conferencing. In student-paced mode, students move through and participate on their own, whether they're working from home or in class working in centers, stations, or groups. With front-of-class mode, you can use Nearpod without student devices and facilitate collaborative discussions. Imagine what you can do with Nearpod. Your students will love lessons that combine engaging media with collaborative ways for them to show off how much they've learned. You'll love unlocking student understanding in real time and having reports to inform the next day's instruction. You'll wonder how you taught without it. Learn more and get started for free at nearpod.com.
Okay. So some different features in Nearpod. There's 2 ways of using it. One is a Google Slides add-on, and actually it's not just Google Slides. If you have PowerPoint presentations already pre-made, you can convert them to a Nearpod presentation, or you can create the entire presentation completely within the Nearpod platform on their website. You can use it for synchronous or asynchronous learning. I think it'd actually even be great for when we're in person and everybody has a Chromebook in front of them and you're presenting lessons. I think it would actually be fantastic. The one limitation of doing it remotely is that it's a little bit trickier for the students to navigate between the teacher's screen, looking at the teacher's screen, and their own screen, except it's not necessarily necessary for you to see the teacher screen unless the teacher is showing like some class results from a poll or something. It adds interactivity to your lesson. You get to hear and share student voice, so you can highlight different students' responses. It's kind of a good way to take the temperature of the class to see whether they're understanding or not. I kind of say, like, you know, if you're having a real life meeting and you ask a question and you kind of feel the swell of energy as people raising their hands and they're eager to answer, you don't quite have that feeling virtually, right? Everybody's on mute, some of their cameras off. You don't sense that. I think Nearpod is a way for you to kind of get a feel for where the class is at as you do these poll questions, these interactive questions. They can spur class discussions. You know, as you ask a question and you hear dead silence, if they can just click on a poll answer and then the class sees what everybody else is choosing, it may spur them to be more bold to speak. There's a huge library both of content, of lessons, and of question types. There's an ability to record audio instructions. So you as a teacher, You know, whether you are doing a live lesson or whether you're doing asynchronous, you can record instructions. So they don't have to sit there and read the entire slide. You can, they press a button, they see there's audio, they press a button, and then they hear you're speaking out the instructions, which I think is super helpful. Additionally, for the free text responses, rather than typing it out, the students can also record an audio response in lieu of typing. You can show YouTube videos. So this is another feature. You can embed the YouTube video on the slide, and then at various points on the YouTube video, let's say at the 1 minute and 17-second mark, you can designate a stopping spot and have a question there. So have a multiple choice question or a short response question. Those are the two types again. But you know, at multiple points throughout the YouTube video, it stops them and say, okay, what did you learn in the last 2 minutes? Or what did you think about this? And they fill in the answers. They also have a lot of really interesting question types that Pear Deck doesn't have. They have, for example, matching pairs, fill in the blank. They allow you to actually post your Flipgrid on there as part of the deck. They have an equivalent to a Padlet where it's like this big bulletin board where they're posting up, randomly throwing up not randomly, but they're throwing up comments that you can moderate. There's gamified quizzes, there's a memory test, there's draw, there's multiple choice. It has definitely potential for summative assessment. It includes post-session reports for a student and the teacher. Another cool feature I haven't used yet, but is that you can add slides on the fly. Let's say you're midway through your lesson, you think of something like, oh wait, you can just quick add slide, and your next, it enables you to quickly, if you think of something, to add a multiple choice slide real quick or whatever it is. Beware, just with all these things, there are limitations on the free account. And I'll speak more about that later. As far as comparing Neardeck and Pear Deck, Nearpod and Pear Deck, when you go to this slide presentation later, I've included this spreadsheet that basically does a side-by-side comparison of all the features. I'm not going to go over it now, except to say that I feel like Nearpod is kind of a souped-up version of Pear Deck. Right? If you're to only use one of the two, I would use Nearpod because it has so many more features. At this point, we are going to go ahead and go to a Nearpod. And so I played with both. I created Nearpods both with my Google Slides and with creating Nearpod. The one I'm showing you right now is going to be one that I created in Nearpod. So you're going to need to open your browser now and go to, okay, you're gonna go to join.nearpod.com. Join.nearpod.com. Do you guys thumbs up if you see the code? You see the code on my screen? Okay. So go ahead and go to join.nearpod.com and put in that code, KPLGW. If you see on my screen, it does say make this a Zoom meeting. I would not use that function because you guys will already be in a Zoom meeting. What this function does is it allows you to create a Zoom meeting on the spot from your account. And so since you will already be in the meeting, you don't need to use that feature. So I'm going to close this code now. The code is still in the upper left-hand corner, KPLGW. It was join.nearpod.com, I believe. Let's start and see how many people are in. I've got one person. Does anybody need the websites again? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 10 people here today, so maybe 2 more people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Anybody have trouble?
Yeah, it just sort of like dumped me, maybe. It's telling me to log in again.
Huh.
That's weird. I'll try again.
Maybe all these people would dump for some reason.
That
Yeah.
happened to me also.
I'm kind of going in a circle. It won't-
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, now it's back on.
Okay. Maybe I hit start. Okay. Are we all on now?
I'm in.
Okay. This first screen, do you guys see the screen that says find the pairs, find the opposites? Okay, go ahead and you're on the activity now. Go ahead and you're trying to find the opposites. There should be pairs of pictures, and you're clicking to see which. So this is a find the pairs activity on my screen. So you actually right now you don't even need to look at my screen. You can just be working off of that. I have a button here where I can click and I can see the student view, which is pretty cool. I can toggle between the two.
Oh, the directions are very small on the top.
Yes, that is a funny thing.
It's tiny.
I don't even see directions.
They're very small in the upper left-hand corner.
Just 3 words that says find the opposites. That's what I typed in.
Oh, whoopsies.
Oh,
Oops.
I put a time limit on them.
Oh,
Okay.
Sorry. You don't have to have a time limit. I happen to put it on there. Okay, so that's. So I'm just basically going to walk you through all the different question types. One is matching pairs, and those matching pairs, as you saw, could be text. They also have equation editing things as well as pictures. And so when you click on pictures, it just brings up a Google search, and you can just choose the picture that you want them to insert on there. Okay, next type. I can't even see oh, here we go. Okay, this one's called Time to Climb, and it's basically a gamified quiz. And so I believe I made this one about Albany. So get ready. This is gonna be, the faster you can answer these questions, the better. It says waiting for players, 0 connected. Start when ready. And so if you were doing this in real life, I think you'd see this little mountain, and then different players, as you answer questions, will be climbing up this mountain. 7 players connected. Are we ready to, anybody else need to connect? I guess you had to choose your little icon.
It's adorable.
Ready? So I'm gonna go ahead and start it. Boom. So I put a timer. I think there's like 15 seconds for each question, and then when the time expires, it should go to the next question. And if you were to look at, oh,
Cute.
so if you were to toggle over to the Zoom screen that I'm sharing, you would see that there's a leaderboard. I think you can anonymize it. Yeah, I can hide student names if I wanted to, but it shows their points, and it shows these little creatures climbing up the mountain, which is cute. And you know, I think the kids will really dig this whole gaming aspect of this. It was really easy to insert images there. You could have images as part of your question, as part of your answers, however you want to do it.
Right.
We'll go one more question. I did prepare 10, but I think you guys get the point of it.
Oh, that's a repeat, right?
This is how many are located within the United States. The other question is how many across the world were named
Gotcha,
already.
gotcha.
Ah,
Damn it.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to the next question, all right? Okay, this is a poll question. And you're just clicking on an answer. And then if you wanna go over to my screen, and you can also allow students to hit more than one answer, which I allowed in this one. It's a little funny in that I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but after you put an answer, it gives you a button that says edit answer.
Yeah.
yes.
So, which is kind of misleading because there's nothing for you to do because you can't advance screen. So right now the thing to do would be look at my Zoom screen. And so that's when you can see the results there, right? And you're frozen on your screen until I advance.
I see.
And so if there was a real life classroom, you know, you'd be looking at the screen, you'd just see what other people put, you'd see the percentage of whatever people put where, and then you can, you know, let it spur a class discussion. Here's another poll one. I don't know why this one's, oh, I must put a timer on it. So if I put a timer on it, it gives you, this one's 30 seconds. You're just gonna say, which of the following, this is another poll question, choose which one of the ones you enjoy, and then you look on the screen and those answers immediately are populate and get shared.
Yeah, the edit answer is funny.
Yeah, it tripped me out. The first time I was trying, I was like, I can't go anywhere. So,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna go on the next one. This one's just a memory test. And so, yeah, it's pairs of pictures. You're trying to find all the, so it's a classic game of memory, right? So you're just trying to find all the pairs. I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to play around with that. You can think about how you might apply that to your curriculum somehow, where they're just trying to find the matches. And again, the matches could be words or pictures, I think. Okay, can I move on from this one? Okay. Okay, so this next one, I just said, let's think about post offices. And then what I have on the next two screens is they have a whole bunch of virtual tours. And what they've done, they've taken 3D images all over the world of everything well, almost anything you can think of. And so what I'm saying is, okay, let's think about post office. There's nothing you can do on this screen, but on this next screen, now these next two screens, I'm going to take you to two different post offices across the world. And I'd like you to take a quick virtual tour just to see what it's like. And then in a second, I'm going to give you a Padlet-like board where you guys will be entering different observations that you make from what you see at these two post offices. So this first post office is in, let's say, Thailand, I believe. No, Vietnam, sorry. So go and scroll around, look around. You can click and drag, it'll move you around. If you use it two fingers and swipe up and down, it'll zoom in and zoom out. But Nearpod has not a cajillion, not quite that many, but they have all sorts of different environments and places that you can take these virtual tours of. Now, if you actually had those like VR goggles, and you click that enter VR, it would put you into that goggle mode, so you could actually just put on that and look around and look around the post office that way. So I would say, you know, kids, what do you notice about the post office? You know, compared to the post office we see in Albany, what do you see? What's different? What's the same? What are questions that you might have? Now I'm going to take you to another post office in, the next screen will say it, but take a quick little tour through this one as well. Imagine going to here to mail your letters to your relatives. And again, if you just click and drag, it'll spin you around. If you use two fingers up and down, two fingers and just slide your fingers up and down on the trackpad, it'll zoom in and out of the location. And then okay, post offices around the world. Think about your post office. What does your post office look like? Post a pic if you wish. Now think about the post office in New Czech and in Saigon. What do you notice and what do you wonder? So I'd like you to post some comments about what you notice and what you wonder. There's a little bar on the bottom that says share your thoughts and or images there. You just type something, hit enter. You can enter as many messages you want. I had an option to approve of messages before they were posted. I chose not to. You guys will, whatever you put on there will immediately be shared with everybody else. So go ahead and type in some comments about what you notice about the different post offices. Notice that on the right-hand side, there's also a little picture icon. So you could post a picture as well, just by clicking that picture icon. Or maybe I click.
Oh, mine says pending approval.
Oh, I guess I must have left the approval thing on. So try posting a picture as well. And then once you've posted a few things, you can take a look at the bulletin board, go back to my Zoom screen and take a look at how this populated. And I think you can click the heart button and like people's posts. I guess if you say you agree with somebody, you can click like. Right now it has student names on there. I could also anonymize it if I wanted to. And so if you're familiar with Padlet at all, this is very similar to the way Padlet works. And so this is another feature. This is called the Collaborate board within Nearpod, the Collaborate board.
And there's no way you can set it that it has their name on it?
Wait, does yours show name right now?
No.
What about now? Let's see.
It says it's waiting for teacher input.
What does it look like now?
No names.
No names. What about now?
Like I'm at the eye doctor. No.
No
Wait,
names?
I could
Okay.
never see anyone's names
Okay.
on ours.
I guess only I, as the teacher, can see the names.
Yeah.
Okay, which
Oh,
is
I can
good.
see it on the Zoom screen, right, but not on my screen, right?
Right.
Wait, on the Zoom screen, could you see the names?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But on your screen, do you see the rest of the posts?
We see all the posts. But
All
no
the
names.
posts, but no names. But on my teacher, okay, got it.
Huh.
So yeah. So the shared screen from the teacher is the only one that's going to show the names. And so again, if you're in the live classroom, if you have that choice of whether they want to share that or not to folks. Okay, I'm going to move on.
Wait, so you can set it so that the kids see the names too? It doesn't really
Only
matter.
it could only you could set it so the kids not on their screen apparently, but only on the teacher screen.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so this one's a fill in the blank. Thumbs up. You guys see it? Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so go ahead and take a moment and try to navigate through that. On my teacher screen, it basically has
Oh, this
all the.
is cool.
Yeah, it's super easy to make. You know, you can either type it in or you copy and paste some text in there, and then you just click on the words that you want to be taken out, and it just does it all for you. So. And then on my screen, it shows all the students and their scores as the scores start populating. Is there I think there's a submit button on the bottom.
Yeah.
Again, you may or may not want to show their names. Right now I have names shown. You probably wouldn't on this particular problem just because.
Yeah.
You don't-
So I purposely left blank ones. Yeah, you can't go back and fix it or anything. So
So you can't go back and edit your answers.
mm-mm.
Is there a way to unsubmit or anything?
I didn't see anything
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
I have a question about
That's
like
wrong, Stacy. Just kidding.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Robin.
the question I have is about like sort of running this as a teacher. So when I played around with Pear Deck, I found it like a little bit confusing. There's sort of like a teacher view, and then there's like the view that you can see that students see, and like just kind of like where everything is. Does it kind of work the same way? Is it like similarly a little bit confusing, and I just need to get used to it, or?
So Pear Deck, you have the actual Pear Deck screen, and then you have this little dashboard, the teacher dashboard tool that was a separate window. This, I will say, is a little bit confusing because if you look at my screen right now, I never saw the fill in the blank that you guys are seeing. I only see the names and their scores. I suppose I could open another tab and log in as a student.
Couldn't you hit view answers? What happens if you hit view answers?
Where on
Top
my
right.
screen?
Yeah, on your screen, top right. I see a blue button that says view answers. Just curious.
I was covering it with my Zoom window. There you go.
But then how do you see, because you're running this Zoom and you're showing us these slides?
So what's your question?
Like, so you're running this Zoom, so you have to be able to advance to the next slide, but you can't see the slides. You're seeing.
So this is what if you look at my screen right now, this is what I see. And I see this, I have an arrow on the right-hand side, arrow on the left-hand side. The arrow on the right just advances to the next screen. So it is weird that I'm flying blind. I don't see exactly what you're seeing. But again, I would just, there's a button up here where I can click on and see student view, but it does take 15, 20 seconds to get there. So what I would advise is just opening another tab and logging in as a student so you can toggle between the two so you can quickly see what they're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so let me go to the next question. Okay, and this one is, they have a whole bunch of 3D models. And so you can play around with it. So same thing with the post office. You can spin it around, you can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can flip them upside down. So either click and drag or use 2-finger and slide and you go in and out. But they have like different molecules, they have different animals, they just have a variety of different things that you can investigate three-dimensionally. So I'll give you just a little bit of time to play around with that. So again, they have a lot of pre-made content like this that you can utilize. It's grouped by subject and by age. If this you would find useful for some reason or other. I'm gonna go to the next one unless somebody wants to, okay. Okay, this one is just a video. I believe I pulled, this is the source they had for this one. So they have, you could put in your own videos or they have some pre-curated ones. This is from BBC. Just out of curiosity, can you press play now and make it, you can play? Okay, so I'm just gonna go on, I didn't embed any questions on this, is just the video itself.
Yeah, so this is the thing I came up with when I tried this with my students, that you could play it at different times.
So when this screen came up, I had two choices. One was to play only on my device, or two was to play on all devices. So I clicked all devices so you can choose and watch at your own place. If I were doing this as a huge lesson in front of the class and everybody's watching it together and I was projecting this on the screen, I would just have it so they could watch it on my screen. If you're trying to stay together as a lesson, I would think that you might want to just do, if you're remotely doing this, you might want to only do it on your device, because otherwise, oh, I'm not done yet, I'm not done yet. And it holds everybody up, right? So,
Oh, okay. I guess what I got confused about is when we do that, do we have to take them back to our Zoom screen, or if we hit play, it plays on everyone's device, right?
No. So let me try that. I believe if I hit play right now, it's only going to play on my device.
Yeah. Okay.
So you'd have to have them go back to your Zoom screen to watch it. If you're
but that's because you have it on, we can all watch it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if I can change out of that after I've chosen it. Okay. I'm going to jump now to the next one. This one, it was, I think it was the quiz. So it's just 4 quick quiz questions. And so this one will actually grade it. So, and as opposed to a poll question where there's no right or wrong answer, this is kind of like the gamified, the climbing the mountain quiz earlier, whereas this one will score you whether you're right or wrong on these.
So are we supposed to watch the video?
Does anybody know why?
Oh, so good question. That was the resource that's on there. So I put it on there. So the answer's on there. If you want them to watch the video and answer based on that, you can. If they can answer without it, they can. If they want to use it as a resource, they can. I'm just pointing out that on the question itself, you can have a picture on there. You can have a video on there. You could have just text, however you want to do it. I believe the second question, you do have to watch the video, or at least part of it.
Is there, it kind of seems like there's a delay a little bit between when you see the answers versus when people put it. Like, I keep kind of looking to see if my answers are up there and it's not, but I submitted It's been a while.
Let me. You were down here. You're at the bottom of the screen, Robin.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know how much of a delay there was, but yeah, it's. It would be good if they'd done 2 different columns.
I think we're maybe in there twice because we got kicked out. Oh.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's the issue. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the next one. Unless you have. All right. Okay. This one is. I've had some funny issues with this one. This one is the one where you're going to play a video and I embedded questions in the middle. And so it didn't give me that choice. I think you can all watch it now. So go ahead.
So I did that and I made it so that I was the one running the video. And so we could all talk about the questions at the same time.
Yeah. So I think earlier when I put everybody could watch their own might still apply right now. So this is only a minute and 53-second video. Go ahead and play the video. And let's see if it gets, because as I was experimenting with it, it was doing some funny things. So play the video and see if it gets you to your first question.
Introducing Nearpod. With Nearpod, you can make every lesson interactive. Launch
if you
lessons
wanna-
your students can't wait to
If you want to
join.
mute yours, then we won't hear each other's.
Mine was a 24-second video and didn't have questions.
Okay, do not have questions. So I'm going to click on something. Okay, now it should have taken you to the question, yes or no? Okay,
Yes.
so it is a little clunky, though I think if you were to do this as asynchronous, self-paced, then they wouldn't run into this at all. It's a little funny when it's live. And so now you answer the question. You should be able now, I believe, press play again and then continue. Because it's a minute and 53-second video total, but it's segmented between my questions. Are you able to continue playing? Thumbs up. Continue playing the video? No? Okay, let me see if I hit play.
There we go.
Get started with what you already have.
Yes, is it playing now?
Get started with what you already have.
Okay, so what I found was I had to press play on mine to initiate it going to the next. And then I had to click on the blue part of the menu bar that has the question in order to bring up the question, which seems rather silly. But maybe I should have done it so only I could play it.
There's
So-
the settings. Does the settings little guide allow you to change it still? No. Okay.
Nope, it only has closed captioning and changing the quality of the video. So I'm presuming everybody finished watching. So if I click, it'll take you to the next question.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you can edit.
Okay, the code is KPLGW. Always in the upper upper left-hand corner. Holly, did you get that? Or is she gone? So if
I'm here.
students ever get kicked, oh yeah, did you find the code again?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so you kind of get the point where you play the video, they watch, they stop, they answer a question, play the video, stop, watch, answer a question. I'm gonna go to the next. This is just a web page, and so I believe for your view, it asks you if you want to pop it out into a different screen. And so I happen to choose a game on my web page, but if let's say you're all trying to read the science article together, it basically, instead of you having to post a URL or anything, it allows you to take them directly to the web page. So I'm going to move on from that, but know that that's available to you. It also has a PDF viewer. And so if you have if you look right now, it's basically just a PDF that I uploaded. And so if you all want them to be reading a PDF article, it is there for them to read. So you can all read it together. You can answer questions at the end. You can say, oh, get 5 minutes to read this, and then we're going to discuss it afterwards. But yeah, so you can display web pages, and then you can also display PDF files. This is a drawing slide. And so you can either be blank. I put an image of a frog on there to ask people to label the parts. So it's not very different from Pear Deck where you have that pencil. You can insert text. There's either a pen or a highlighter if you want to highlight parts. I don't believe it has a straight line feature that Pear Deck had, but I think you can still adjust the size of the pen. On my screen, I can see everybody as their drawings start changing. I can see that change live. I wonder if I can just, so I could actually, if you look at my screen, I can bring up particular students' answers and magnify it for everybody to see. And again, I can always have the name or no name on here. So that's, again, a drawing type question. I'm going to go to the next question now. So it has a series of these simulations that are pre-made. This happens to be a science one, and it's about balancing equations. And so like you can search through their content. They have math, science, all sorts of different simulations, and you might hit upon one that you're like, whoa, I could totally use this for my class. And so if you were to click on level 1, 2, 3, this is not anything that's created by me. It's not a website. It's built into the Nearpod platform. And so, you know, if you happen to be doing a unit on balancing chemical equations, this is pre-built for you and it's nice and handy. You might be familiar with the simulation itself. But it's not just science, it has a whole bunch of different simulations on there. I'll show you how to access them later. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on from this, but just know that that is available to you.
That's super cool.
Yeah. They have these things, I don't know if anybody's come across them before, but Microsoft, they have your Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint. They have something called Microsoft Sway, and it's a different way of presenting. It's almost like a glorified, prettier PowerPoint. So this is a Sway screen that somebody created, and you can scroll down through it, and it's a bunch of images. You can put card decks in there. So if you get to I think the 4th page under characteristics for climate change, there's a bunch of cards, and if you click on one of them, it'll go to the next card and talk to you about different characteristics of climate change. So it's almost like a series of slides that you can let them explore. They have pre-made ones, or I think you can go on Microsoft and create a Sway, S-W-A-Y. But they do include a bunch of sways if you want to use any of their pre-made ones. Again, you're just kind of scrolling through it. It's pretty. It's basically slides.
And there's no place to write anything. It's just
it's just a look at. It's just a look at.
Okay.
And so that's just a Microsoft Sway. I'm gonna go to the next screen now. This one is just free response, but what I want to point out to you as you go to this slide is that you can actually record a response. Instead of the student typing it out, they can hit the record button and speak their answer. I believe I also put audio on there, so you can click on the audio to hear my directions on there.
That's a very cool accessibility feature.
I'm curious, would somebody record something? I want to see if I can access your recording on here.
Everybody will hear it.
Just put on a mute right now.
Let's see. I know, but I wonder if it would still work.
And record an answer, and we'll see if. I know I can see your text response. It'd be interesting to see if you can do both also, a text response and a recorded response. I don't know if that's possible.
Hi, Mr. Liu. Thank you for doing this.
All right, so we can hear people's responses. And if you look at my screen, a little arrow pops up with what people have said. And you can also see what they've typed. So a lot is available, like everything is shareable on here, looks like. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and if you're done playing with it.
The only like issue I had trying to record my response is I couldn't figure out how to mute you so that your voice isn't going into my response because you were talking while I was talking. I'm just saying, like, it would have to be a quiet moment if people are recording. Yeah.
I can mute myself. You know, you have 3 minutes to do this. So here's the timer. I'm gonna mute myself. I'm not gonna talk during that time. So that's important to note that you can't talk through it. Okay. One last poll question. Are you interested in trying Nearpod? It is a multiple choice question. You're clicking response. And then I'm going to show you a little bit about how, actually, yeah, if you can look back, after you've put in a response, go back to my screen because I'm going to show you how to get the student the reports as well as how to end the session.
And the report would be helpful with attendance and response, right? To know who's responding.
Yeah, it would show all the students that are in attendance. It would show the results of all their, all the questions that had right or wrong answers. It'll show what percentage they got right on those. Okay, so if you're back on my screen now, the Nearpod word at the top, there's a little drag down arrow. I click on that. I click on reports. It says an assessment report of this presentation will be sent to your email account. I hit yes. And then I click on the arrow again. I click end session. I'm going to show you real quick just what building the Nearpod looks like, and I'll tell you the one limitation of the free account. On the free tier, you're given 100 megabytes to build a presentation from. This one I just showed you was 17 megabytes. So you can see how you can quickly get to 100 pretty quick. Once you have a presentation, you can do live participation or student paste. I'm going to show you how I edit the presentation and add questions.
So I downloaded a few of their presentations that they already have made, and then I ran out of like space really quickly. Like yeah.
So here's the guts of kind of what my presentation looked like. Anytime I want to add a slide, I click right here, add slide. Can you guys see all this menu bar? Okay, so this first screen is content. So videos they've curated. If you want to just add a slide, web content, here's a 3D model. So I'm just click right here. You can see all the 3D models that they've pre-made that you can use. These simulations I talked about earlier, the science one was one I had showed you, but because you can tell they have elementary school simulations, math middle school, math high schools. Basically, it's math and science, right? All these simulations that you choose, interactive little tools that they can experiment and play with, and you know these are things that they are pretty self-explanatory. You don't need, well, maybe I guess you could always explain it, but I think they can figure it out. So that simulation tool is neat. The virtual field trip that I showed you earlier to the post office, if I click this, you can see that you can just enter any destination you want. I mean, they already have these ones that are on the screen that they can tour. But if I were to put, let's say, fire station, it's going to pull up whatever fire stations they have. You can preview the tour of it. Hopefully they have one. Don't make me look bad. Okay, so here's the fire station. If I were to click it, it's from Aberystwyth. And just like earlier, I can take the tour through the fire station, see what's going on, what it looks like. But again, they have a whole bunch of different places and that you can look up under virtual tours. BBC Video, this Microsoft Sway I was talking about. Slideshow is just you inserting a whole bunch of pictures and it'll scroll through them. You can record audio, you can do the PDF viewer. And so this is all just the pre-made content that's available to you. And I know that there's even more if you have the paid subscription. I believe stuff like vocabulary is on there.
Yeah, they're the same makers of vocabulary.
And so if you're willing to pay,
Same
it
company.
unlocks a whole lot even more for you. So that's content. And if I click on activities, here are the different question types that you have. Time to climb was that gamified multiple choice quiz. Open-ended question is the text response, where it's also an audio response. Matching pairs, a quiz. So the quiz and time to climb are about the same, except this is not gamified. Flipgrid, it doesn't create the Flipgrid here, but if you've already created a Flipgrid, you can insert it into the slide deck and they can click on it. It'll take them to the Flipgrid that you created. Draw it. Collaborate board is the equivalent to the Padlet. Poll question, fill in the blank, and then memory test. So you can see there's all these features that I've showed you are free. Again, more content types will open up as you use the paid version. So I can just keep on adding it. Alternatively, I believe I can drag my content on here. If you have a PowerPoint presentation that you've already made, you can drag it into here and it'll convert the whole thing over to Nearpod format. However, what I've read, I think, is that if you do that, the interactive elements of your, like the animations in your PowerPoint might go away. It might start being static, but then you can add stuff to it. Once you've made it, you click save and exit, and then it's sitting there ready for you to run. Let's see, share with teachers. You can duplicate it. You can make it a PDF. You can look up its reports. Let's going back to here. So the rest of this is kind of, you can look at this slide deck later, but you can either get add as a Google add-on, a Google Slide add-on, or you could just build it straight out of the Nearpod platform. If you're to use it as a Nearpod add-on, once you open a slideshow, you usually just need to go turn it on, right? It doesn't default turn on. Even if it is a Nearpod presentation or a Pear Deck presentation, you need to turn on Nearpod or Pear Deck in order for it to work. This is just a list of all those question types I showed you earlier. Make sure that when you actually, if you're doing it from the Google Slides, you don't present from here. You have to, so no matter whether you did it from Google Slides or you built it in Nearpod, you always start it on the Nearpod screen.
Wait, I have a question
Yeah.
about just that previous slide. Can you say one more time the difference between, no, the one after this, live participation and live participation plus Zoom? I mean, like if we're doing Zoom, I assume we choose Zoom.
No, only because the live participation of Zoom, it creates a Zoom session for you. So for those who have not started a Zoom session, you could hit the live participation with Zoom, and then it's going to make a Zoom meeting, and then you have to share that Zoom meeting with them. So since we're already in the Zoom meeting, we don't need that feature. So I would not use that. Just go for the live participation. Here's kind of a chunk of the post-session report. It's going to give you their name, though I had sampled one with AHS student, what percentage they got right for each question, and that's it. Questions anybody has? Yeah.
I do. Can you just talk a little bit about, if I wanted to, make my slideshow a little more exciting in Google Slides, what's that process like? Like I actually just made a slideshow with some embedded things for next week for my history. Now, if I want to add some of these elements, I have to get the extension for
Perfect. Okay.
Google, and then what's that process like?
Okay. So here's my slideshow of the PD I just did with you guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to add-ons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to hit Nearpod, open Nearpod, and just like Pear Deck, it opens a little menu bar on the side.
Okay.
And I'm going to click edit this lesson, and then all those question types that I had available earlier are sitting right here. So now I can click, oh, I want to, but let's see, let's just see what happens. So I click collaborate board. I'm not sure if it adds it on top of the slide or it adds a new slide. So you can enter topic, enter a description. So what it does is it doesn't add to your slide itself, whereas Pear Deck does, right? Pear Deck, it will add a multiple choice question to your slide. This one, it added another slide that was a collaborate board afterwards.
Okay.
And so I think that's going to probably be the case for most of these, where you think of, oh, after this slide, I really wanted to ask them a multiple choice or ask them a poll question. You click on that slide, you click poll, and you type in your question, your answers. It's going to insert that poll slide directly after
it, right?
the one, and you could always move those around as well.
Uh-huh.
And then, yeah.
Okay. And then when it makes a copy, has anyone had experience with this? When it makes a copy of it in Google Classroom, all the features still work? You know what I'm talking about?
So what's going to happen is, no, because when you use it as either, are you talking about using it as a
what I've been doing,
student paced one?
Yeah, what I've been doing is basically making one big slideshow. The first half we do together, and then whenever we don't finish, they do on their own. So they're working from their own copy from Google Classroom.
When they're doing it together, well,
this is kind of why Pear Deck didn't really work that well for me. I switched it over and suddenly things weren't working.
Wait, so can you tell me a little more about that? What did you mean by?
Well, I didn't work that hard on it. I was just like, this seemed like more trouble than it's worth, because I could not quite wrap my head around when Google Classroom makes a copy for each student.
So, okay.
It's going to work.
Okay, no. So, okay, so I think therein lies your problem.
Okay. For
students to use Pear Deck or Nearpod, they're not using your slideshow. They have to go to a website and put join PD, whatever it is, type in the code, and it gets run separately. You don't.
I cannot post it as a Google Classroom assignment. I mean, I can, but not the actual thing itself.
Correct. You're posting a code or a link to this self-paced assignment. You're not posting a slideshow where they each get their own copy.
Right. It's in Pear Deck. Or in whatever this is called.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So let's just see. If I were to do student paste, I'm gonna click student paste, and then can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So I have a choice of emailing it, social media of some sort, creating a link, posting in Google Classroom. So if I want to click Google Classroom, it's going to take me to all my Google Classrooms that I could choose from.
Uh-huh.
And so I'll choose one.
And they'll just get like a copy in Nearpod itself.
Well, let me see.
Whatever.
It says action, create assignment. What?
We don't
create assignment, yeah. I hit go. Let's just see what it looks like, because I've never done this. So do you see my screen right now?
No, it didn't show what you were saying.
Okay. So basically it gave me an option. Do you want to make an announcement on your stream, or do you want to create an assignment? So I click create assignment. Now I'm on it took me to an assignment screen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to actually take you to my Nearpod classroom, or to that classroom, and view it.
Google Classroom?
Yeah, we're going to Google Classroom.
Gotcha. Am I the only one that was confused about this? Just curious.
No, I mean, that makes sense. So if you look, it's given you this Nearpod link. So when you click it, it takes you straight into the lesson.
Okay.
And you never navigate through Google Slides.
Okay. Even if you started on a Google slide and you just use the extension.
Correct. What you're doing is you're creating a standalone lesson that's independent of Google. Your Google slide is your content, your framework for it, but the actual execution of the lesson itself is either coming from Nearpod or Pear Deck.
Okay. Even if I only added a couple things from Nearpod, it's still all going to be in there, all in Nearpod.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because you want it to have that's how you have the Nearpod functionality.
Okay.
Right. And so
that's probably what I'll do, is just add a couple things onto slides that I already have. Right.
And do you want to do it live in class, or you want to do it as an assignment on their own, or a combination of both?
Combination.
So I believe you can start the session live and leave it open for them to finish, but they then might have to finish in that sitting. I don't know. You have to experiment with that.
Yeah.
I mean, you could always start as a self-paced and start it in class, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And then they're working through it. You could say, everybody pause on this screen. Let's talk about it. And then don't move on yet. I mean, some of them are going to move on. You can't control. That's the only problem with self-paced. You can't control, right?
Right.
I have a question about that. So if you do have them on self-paced, so let's say I'm doing what Abby's doing and I maybe start them in class on self-paced and then the end of the period comes. Would they like leave it and they can get back in? Can they keep coming in and out of their on self-paced?
I don't know. I know that when I did a self-paced earlier, if I remember correctly, it gave me a time window. Yeah. So when you create a self-paced, it asks you how long you want them to do it. And I happen to set 29 days. That was a default. You could set 3 days. And it would seem logical that within those 3 days, you don't have to do it in one sitting, right? It wouldn't make sense that you give you 3 days and you got to do it in one sitting. That would be my guess. I don't know definitively, but that would be my guess.
And then are you able to tell us a little bit about like, if you were to do it as self-paced, student paced, maybe it's like for homework.
Yeah.
What comes to you? Where do you go to see their work and what's sort of the format?
Okay, let me go to the report. You're talking about what I get afterwards as a teacher? Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the post-session report from what we just did.
That's good.
Can you see?
So it's not one overall score. It gives you like the scores from the different, for example, here's the fill in the blank section, right? I can see this person scored 9 out of 9, this person scored 9 out of 9, this person's 3 out of 9. So if you want to extract those little pieces as grades, I suppose you could.
Can you see like, one thing that I could imagine this being really good for is like, let's say if you did it self-paced and it's homework and then the next day we're on Zoom together, I'd like to be able to pull up like, here are the results from question 3. Let's discuss what people thought. Like it can be the anonymous results. Do you know what I mean? Like the whole class sort of average, whatever. To start the session. Is that something you can do or no?
I mean, I have what you see before you. I did not see an option for a student report, though I feel like this says on here that they do. And it might be one of those things that you have to pay for. So I see student takeaways, yes and yes for both of them. So I don't know offhand what the way to get a student report is, but apparently it is available so they can get emailed to them. But in everything I did so far, I did not see it myself.
Okay, and how much money are we talking for paid version?
Okay, off the top of my head, I want to say $10 a month. Though there's different tiers. There's like platinum and gold. Gold, you get up to 1 gigabyte of storage. 75 students per session.
I'm trying to 75.
Per session. So you can have multiple live sessions or multiple student-paced sessions at once.
I'm trying to remember how this is comparing to Pear Deck. I remember thinking Pear Deck was pretty expensive, but then again, you get a lot.
Pear Deck, I remember one of the first things, well, let's do Pear Deck comparison. Pear Deck, let's see.
So it looks like Pear Deck is a little more expensive if you're talking about the basic one on.
Yeah. And honestly, as I looked through this was not exactly correct because, for example, it says add audio to, maybe that is a premium feature because I'm still under premium. Well, you were here last week when I talked about Pear Deck. You do have a 3-month, 90-day trial, so it'll stretch you pretty far. So it seems like Pear Deck's pricing is more feature-based. Like you're limited in, you can't do the dragging slides, you can't do the drawing slides, you can't do the audio stuff, the student takeaways, the teacher dashboard. Whereas Nearpod, how they're getting their money is the number of Nearpod projects that you have, as well as some content, right? Because Nearpod is limiting you to 100 megabytes, which won't get you very many lessons, but if you paid, you can make more lessons, as well as it'll give you more of those features like the vocabulary and stuff. So, any other questions?
So I already have a vocabulary account. So if I do the free account here, then I can also use the vocabulary feature, or what?
Try it. I don't know. Well, I mean, if you install it, you can go to Nearpod right now and see if you have, when you click on start a project, whether you have the vocabulary option on there.
Well, let me try it. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
Hi, Richard. I just put a question in the chat.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Happy Friday.
Hi, Mimi.
I only have a beer because I thought it was time for our book club and I was an hour early. So I said, oh, I'll hop into Nearpod. So yeah, can you tell, I'm sorry to be late. Can you, is Nearpod just, is it packaged lessons? Because I also have FlowCab as a FlowCab Lite as a personal subscriber.
It's building lessons. It's a platform that allows you different question types. It offers some content. It's more of you using it as a platform to construct your lesson because it has a lot of interactivity in there.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
So I did record this and I'll be posting it this weekend. So you can rewatch this session. Mm-hmm. And this deck will be available.
So is this is connected with Pear Deck? Is that
no,
right?
It's separate. I keep referring to the two because there are definitely some similarities. They're adding interactivity to your Google Slides, and so I would say the Nearpod is a super fancy version of Pear Deck. It has a lot more features and content available.
So if you were doing some kind of project, multi-day project, and you could say, oh, I'm going to do it on Google Slides and have all these kind of like a HyperDoc sort of thing, or I guess you could do or Nearpod or Pear Deck. You could make that choice. Is that, I'm sorry if I'm so elementary here.
Well, I would say if you were using, from what I'm not that experienced with HyperDocs, but I think both Pear Deck and Nearpod could take the place of HyperDocs. They're almost like doing the HyperDoc for you. Okay. Yeah, so you don't have to build it yourself. It creates all the features that you would want in a HyperDoc. It's built into how it is created.
Like less engineering, I guess, kind of.
Yeah. You don't have to do the technical stuff.
Yeah,
it's doing that for you.
Do you have a preference?
I would probably at this point recommend. Nearpod has the most features and functions, so that's what I would go with. Kim, did you get to vocabulary working or not? You're muted.
You're muted.
It's running so slow, I can't tell. I don't see any FlowCab option there, but I'm going to have to check around because I am very curious. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Richard, I think I drove everyone away.